my name's Ben Lackey. In this video, we're going to go through how to use the new Neo4j extension in the Gemini CLI. And that deploys a number of MCP servers that can then be used to interact with Neo4j servers and create data, manipulate databases, and so forth. So let's get started. First off, I'm going to exit out of this presentation, and then I have a couple tabs open. One tab is open to the Gemini CLI extensions here. And I can very simply just go search for Neo4j, and you see here the Neo4j logo and the Neo4j MCP servers here. So I'm going to click on this guy, and it very helpfully tells me the command I would need to run to install the plugin. But if I want, I can also go over, click View on GitHub, and see all the source code for this thing, and actually where it pulled some of that information. So there's a little README under here just explaining how to get started. Incredibly straightforward. You can, of course, run this on your local machine, but I kind of like the cloudy things, and I have a Google Cloud Console open here. And if I just click over here, I can pop open the Cloud Shell. You can see that. I'm going to try Gemini, so I don't really need a reminder message telling me to. I like it when it's full screen, so I'm going to ask it to do that. And now I got my CLI. This is a normal bash one, of course. So in that, I'm going to tell Gemini to install this nifty new plugin. So ask it to do that. And it warns me it's a third party. And then it says it's installed and enabled. So there's one more step we're going to need to go through before we can use it. The extension it has a number of components, but one way it works is with the Neo4j Aura product, our SaaS product. And that requires a key to interact with. So we're going to need to set the key as an environmental variable. I've already subscribed to Neo4j Aura through the marketplace. There's actually another video showing how to do that if you're curious. But I'm going to show you how to get the key. So if I go up here to the right, I click my name, and I go to Account Settings here, I see a section for API keys. And I'm going to make a brand new key and destroy it before this video is ever posted, so it won't be terribly useful to nefarious people. But let's just call it Ben Key. And I've got here my client ID. So I'm going to copy that out of there, and I'm going to put it in a little helper text file I have going. And then I'm going to grab the secret as well, which is the one you do not want to expose. And I'm going to stick that here. So now I've got two little bash commands, export this variable and that variable. And I'm going to go back here to our Cloud Shell, and I'm going to run those guys. So I've set those. And next up, I can just start up Gemini. And it's going to start up. We're likely going to see a couple little errors. And that's because while we've given it the keys, we haven't given it the information to connect to a database. And that's, of course, because we don't yet have a database for it to connect to. But that's okay. We're going to use the MCP server to make a brand new Aura database. And then once that exists, I can show you how to set the environmental variables. So yeah, here we are. I can, one thing I can do is I can ask it to describe the MCP servers I have and sort of go through and see this list of what it's loaded up and what tools are available. Now, I'm going to ask it a very simple question in natural language, or rather command it to do something. Create a new Neo4j Aura DB Pro instance. And it's thinking about that. Right. And now it wants to know if it has permission to go do this. I'm going to tell it does for the whole session, which is perhaps slightly dangerous in that it could make all sorts of things, but it's probably okay. It's pretty reliable in what it does. I have a whole bunch of tenants, and it's not sure which one it should use, which is fair. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to see which tenant I was just in, because I want to use that one. So that's here in my URL here. I'm going to go back to the Cloud Shell, and I'm going to tell it, please use the tenant, and paste that guy in. And let's give that a go. And it wants a name for the new instance. Please name the instance. I'm just going to call it Ben Test. So now it's thinking again. Once again, it's, can we use the tool? Yeah, sure. You can have it for the session. And it's making this new instance now. And it gives me a bunch of information about it. One thing I'm going to grab right here is the connection URL. So we're going to populate a couple more variables. So connection URL, I got the username's always Neo4j here. I'm going to need my password. And that's this horrible auto-generated thing. And let's paste that in. All right, so I have a couple more environmental variables I'd like to set. So I am going to exit out of Gemini here. And now I'm back in my, plain old bash. I'm going to set those variables. And now let's run Gemini again. And it's sort of thinking and doing its thing. While it's initializing, I'm going to grab another little string out of here for in a second. Okay, and it's all ready. And once again, I'm going to ask it to describe all the MCP servers it has. And data modeling and Cypher all looking good. It's interesting memory is not connected. I'm not sure why that is, but we could look into it later. At any rate, I'm going to give it another command. I'm going to tell it to create a new node for me. And once again, let's tell it it's allowed to do that. Yep. Okay, and it says it's created a new customer node. So that's a very brief walkthrough of what's available through the MCP server and the extension working with Gemini. There is, of course, so much more you can do with this, and there's a more detailed blog post on this coming shortly. If you have any questions, please reach out. Ecosystem@neo4j.com is a great way to get your questions answered. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck with what you're building.